Alrighty, beautiful. Let's get going. It is Monday, short week this week, Thanksgiving week here in the United States. So if you're in the US, short week. If you're not in the US, still be a short week from trading standpoint. Uh, but usually we see decent little bounces around the holidays, give or take. And let's just jump in. We'll take a quick look at some charts, and then I've got a bunch of stock picks and futures picks and so forth to go through. So a bunch of different trades. We'll take a look at some different things. So overall, really good start to the week. We gapped up and ran up a bit earlier. We have since sold off on the session, but we're still up fractionally this week. Nothing, I mean, we are not in an overbought stage at all. On the daily and the weekly, really, you're in this rising wedge, which is not really a great thing. But I still think we can run up to the 6,100, maybe even 6,200. But as soon as we come down and if we break below this wedge, I think we get a little bit of a pause and a little bit of sell-off, but I really don't think there's much of a big sell-off looming. I certainly don't think we're going to see anything. This is just um, my assumptions is that we really won't see anything till probably right around inauguration in January. So I still think we get the Trump pump, as you call it, or whatever, the bounce. I still think we rally here year end seasonality, and then I still think we'll go a few weeks into January potentially, maybe one, maybe 2 weeks, maybe even three until the inauguration, and then I might think it might be more of a sell the news type of a thing. But I really don't see the markets giving up a ton. But they are not lofty at all here. The fear and greed index is not in a bad shape here at all. If we take a look at the fear and greed index, see if I can share it with you guys. We are in the greed mode, and here I'll screen share it with you. I mean, we have entered now the greed mode overall, but still, I don't think it's bad. A week ago we were neutral. We're now into the greed mode here on the fear and greed index, but I don't think anything, we're not in the extreme greed and we're not even on the border of it yet. So I think the market's just kind of hanging out in here. Let's go back to the charts, but um, there you go on the fear and greed index. I don't think there's anything really to be too worried about. Uh, Lots of positive stuff you see from news. Trump putting together cabinet picks. We'll see how those go. Is that going to affect a whole lot of anything? Tom Lee seemed very bullish on many of the cabinet picks. I think that'll have something to do with it. We'll see what happens when the whole regime change happens. Do we get a sell-off? Where do things go from there? The one thing I thought was interesting, though, was the last 2 years have been 20 plus up years. Do you think we get a third one in a row? I think that would be asking a lot of this market. I don't know that we're going to get a down year, but uh, we might not see the same types of returns on ES, on the S&P. It doesn't mean there won't be individual plays out there. And for us, I think that's okay that we don't go straight up. I think that gives us more plays, more things to take a look at. So overall, again, on ES here, I think we're in great shape. There's really nothing to point out. Nothing's overbought, nothing's oversold. You got a stair step move higher, MACD, RSI, squeeze, all on the daily start. The stochastic momentum moving back higher. And we're actually in a bearish PSAR mode. We almost triggered the bullish here, but I think a few more days we could trigger another bullish uh, PSAR mode. So, and we are in that mode here on the weekly. So overall, ES is good. I think we keep putting on trades in ES. We just put on both Igor and I did Igor calls it the 112W. That's fine. That's just a short term, 30-day-ish trade, 112 trade that we're in here. I think we have slightly different ways of handling it, but overall, pretty good shape. We are up on most of the trades that are out there. This 112W trade that we just entered last week is actually up 25% now in 3 trading sessions or 3 days. So I like it. Looks good. We can take a look at that more if you want to. If not, there's no shortage of stuff in the Discord on that trade. But I did a 39 DTE. I like 45 days to 60. Igor's a lot, he likes the 30 to maybe 45. I'll get him to go to 45 here. But I'm just kidding. But I like the 45 day on these trades. And then our naked puts on our 112s are up nicely. We got one that's 18 days old. That's up 38%. I've got my usual 120-day naked put. That's up 8%. 17 days, so it's taken a little while. I'm sitting on still on a 111 trade that's up nicely here. So we're moving through all of the trades in a pretty good fashion. So I like where we are, and I think the markets look pretty bullish. So I think you could really put on a lot of different trades. No sense putting on the call side, in my opinion. We are not that really that overbought scenario. It doesn't look like the markets are rolling over, at least not today. All right, what is rolling over a little bit today here is oil. So oil is down today. Pretty good down day on oil. So if you did not have a chance to get into oil, this is probably giving you another uh, another opportunity, I think, to get into oil as a trade. So I do like it in here. I like this pullback. We've just been holding this support level. Is it going to get tested again right around 66.90, 67? Yeah, very possibly. We broke back down through the 21 and the 13 today, even though momentum seems to be moving to the upside on the daily. And even on the weekly, you're starting to see things starting to reverse to the upside a bit, but really it's very sideways uh, in here, and we are in a pretty good, value range here that we've been in for a good, 7 weeks or so overall. So I think you just meander around in this. Is there any news on oil that would, make me change my mind or give me some pause? But uh, Israel and Hezbollah may be nearing a ceasefire, and that is certainly bringing oil down today. So the Middle East ceasefire hopes are the cause of the oil drop today. Uh, I still think, um, let Igor in. I still think oil hangs out in this range. I I think it can meander its way lower, but I don't think it's going to crash lower. You're just getting that again. The ceasefire talks between Israel and Hezbollah definitely easing pricing pressure on the markets. So, and I think you still have a slight demand problem, and I think you've got a supply glut on oil. So there's no reason for prices, in my opinion, to really skyrocket higher. I don't think there's any reason to see them dump tons lower, at least not at the present time. Let's see what happens when Trump gets into office. A lot of this is just posturing ahead of the inauguration, but I like the 112 plays here on oil. So we have a strangle. Actually, we have one strangle. That strangle's up today. We're up 11% in the oil strangle. And then we did put on another 112 trade last week. I think it was on Friday, Thursday, Friday, what have you, there. So we're sitting at 113% on one of our 112s. We are almost positive on the put debit spread, and we're not even in the trap yet. And then the new one on the older one, and then on the newer one that we just put on, that's actually positive right now in the trap, even though we're not in it either. We're negative on the naked puts, but it's early. We're down at the 56 level. We really have to break some serious support and the Bollinger Bands and get all the way down to that 56 level. Doesn't mean we can't get there, and I think maybe we'd get there at some point in time. But right now, I think the 112, great way to play this, where we can grab some decay and move our way down. All right, let's take a look at bonds. So bonds, big thing today. We remain, in this really 5 week, almost 6 week long value area that we're in. We'll extend this thing out just a fraction. But we're getting to the top of it. Are we ready for a breakout in bonds? Certainly a pretty nice bounce after last week. We are breaking this downtrend line. We can bring this downtrend here and take a look. So we're breaking this downtrend line. If we break out of this value range that we're in to the upside, if we can break that 118 and change level, then let's see what happens. Do we bounce up, come back down, touch it? That's where I'll be watching. Do we break out? Do we come back down? Do we find some support around this 118 on any kind of a break here? But otherwise, it's a really good day on bonds. Our portfolios are up. I'm up today probably close to 20,000 dollars between the two accounts on just the bonds alone today. So that's a pretty nice sign. Like I said, it's a nice $20,000 up day for me just on bonds alone. But I think if you look at the bonds, what's happening in here and is you like the Fed policy. Uh, Yields are dropping on some safety bid. Ukraine attacking Russia. You've got France and now the U.S. allowing Ukraine to use their weapons to shoot missiles into Russia, which, again, not a great idea on my end, but I think that is really a strategic move. Now, hear me out here. I know you guys want some trades, but uh, that is a good negotiating ploy. Can it backfire? Absolutely. You know that Trump wants to solve this thing. He wants to stop sending money to Ukraine. We would like to see the war end. Uh, I think shooting missiles into Russia is just another potentially strategic ploy to get from a ceasefire and standpoint. Russia really doesn't want people lobbing missiles into them. They're going to threaten and rattle their saber, but Russia, that's all Putin ever does is rattle his saber and really doesn't do a whole lot, especially on the nuclear front. Of things, and I think we'll see something happen on that. I don't think Trump's going to solve it in 24 hours like he says. However, we'll see what happens there. So overall, good stuff here on bonds. So really big update on bonds, really looking nice here. But I wouldn't go and just sell the farm and buy bonds in here. The weekly though, the MACD two weeks in a row, MACD reversing higher. You've got RSI reversing higher on the weekly. The squeeze has been firing to the downside, still there, but that could change. And then the stochastic momentum starting to get a little bit of a curl up, and then definitely on the daily, things look pretty good. So I do like it here. We're in great shape with what we have. I will watch the call side of things. I don't want to take too big of losses, but we're way up here in the 120s, 124, 123, 124 range. That would be a pretty significant rally in bonds, but I'm all right with that. So we'll see what happens. And then our TLT, we've got 94 on the huge gap today. So big move, big gap today. We're at the 94s on the covered calls. I'm totally fine with that. That means the underlying is going to be generating some cash. Like I said, we're up. I'm not buying to close my ZB calls at this time, not on one day. Okay, here. So things are looking better. We haven't really broken out of this volatility range. Let's see what happens. If we keep, running up towards maybe the 19s, 120s, I'll take a little bit of a loss on those. Let's see what happens. But I'm not willing to close those out yet. They're, like I said, they're up a ways. Also, the new Treasury Secretary pick, I think it was CW. I think you even pointed that out in the chat to me here. Yeah, the bond markets really love the Treasury Secretary pick. So we'll see what happens on bonds. So overall, good looking stuff on bonds like the bond trade. Now, gold taking a gigantic hit today. So gold's down pretty heavily. here. Well, a little bit, I think, of this is the Israel-Hezbollah ceasefire. This is not so much of a safe haven trade as it was. So I think you're getting some pullback on maybe not quite the safe haven area uh, here that people thought might be. Now, does it mean that we won't head there? But I think again, the Treasury Secretary, okay, good choice, stability in the U.S. Here, and I think the flight to want to get into gold maybe not quite as strong as it was a couple days ago. I think all of this news is somewhat related. I think that's the best pick so far. Uh, and again, not being political here, I'm just talking about uh, from the market standpoint. I think that's the best pick so far of what's happening. But gold dropping significantly here. I am not in gold, no trades on gold, not looking at gold here. If we can maybe come down here and bounce, maybe, but you've broken the 21, you broke the 50 and the 13-day moving average today. So you broke three significant moving averages in one day, even though things looked pretty good the other day. But as I mentioned, I'm a hold on gold. So gold, I was waiting. Copper, I was waiting just to see how things determine. Gold, I was is just getting away from me, so I didn't like chasing it, and I'm kind of glad that we just followed that. If you look at the weekly chart on gold, for 4 straight weeks, things have been selling off. So RSI has been falling from overbought, pretty textbook. MACD has been falling. Stochastic, these squeeze has been falling. Stochastic momentum has been falling. The weekly does not look good on gold. You have a bearish PSAR um, signal here. So I think I don't like gold here. I don't want to fight the weekly trend. Even let's see if we can come back down and hold this 21 and get some constructive sideways building going on, and then maybe we can look at moving higher. Right now, I don't like it at all, so I'm sticking away. Copper, still not a great trade. We're right at the support levels here on copper. I don't think this is something to co-mix with gold here. Really good support level. I'd like to see it bounce. It tried to today, didn't get the momentum going. And still a hold on copper. Silver, certainly that thing's rolling over today, just like gold as well. So we got a pretty good rollover. Again, safe haven, no longer in silver. It's tied to gold, in my opinion. I think copper's a different metal for different reasons, but silver and gold would be more safe haven. And right now, calming the markets with a good Treasury Secretary pick, calming the markets with Israel Hezbollah uh, talks or ceasefire talks. So all of that stuff will drop your gold, your silver, and your oil right now. I'll stick away. I think our trades would just let them run. The Aussie dollar, the US dollar still strong. Aussie dollar's down right around the support level. We have a 112 trade on. That trade is up technically 20% in 3 days, but it's a big mover, and I have a lot of contracts. But uh, I like the 112 trade that we're in here. But let's go to where I really see things developing nicely into next year. You've now got RTY hitting a new high today. So breaking out of this previous high, hitting a new high in here at 2477.1. I like small caps. I think you see a little bit of a rotation out of some of the big name techs. You're seeing some selling in Nvidia. You're seeing some selling in Tesla today. Netflix down pretty substantially. Costco down today. Microsoft down just a fraction. Apple's been down for a while. Now Amazon's been down for a little while. So I think you're seeing a little rotation into some of these small cap stocks. Uh, I like uh, I like to trade in RTY. Uh, and I think if you see a little bit more selling here, um, then this, I think, and the main larger stocks, you see more rotation into here. So I like RTY. It's racked up a quite of a bit big move so far. If you're in it, great. If you're not in it, I think the way to play this, in my opinion, is IWM or in the Lazy Trader account, we were also using uh, TNA. And the Lazy Trader account's up almost $13,000 today, of which a chunk of that's bonds. MicroStrategy is up 5 grand today. Bonds are up 6 grand today, and small caps are up as well. Pretty much everything is up there except for SVOL, which is down slightly, but we got dividends coming up on SVOL, and Nvidia is down just a fraction. But I think the way to play IWM is to sell naked puts on this thing. I think it goes higher. Do I want it right here at the top of the Bollinger Band? Well, not necessarily now. We did enter trades 6 days ago on IWM, and then we're still sitting in TNA, which is the leveraged version of the small cap index. I think you give this, I think this is exactly what we're expecting. I think this is where the growth is going to be next year. I think you want to be in IWM at some point in time. I think the ideal place was to get into it about 5, 6 days ago when we came back down and hit this previous resistance level, which became support and then bounced and rallied hard. But this thing looks good. It can still go higher. Uh, it's less exciting now, but I'm in around this 200-ish level, uh, which was the previous support. Here, this is where I'm selling the 195s, the 200s. I think you could even probably move up to the 220, 225 range on this thing. Looking at this uptrend line, I think the 225s, you could also sell those right now. So I think IWM, not a bad play in here. One way to play this, and we're going to get into a few today. We're going to talk about some Jade lizards today. So I think that's an opportunity and a way to play some things is with a Jade lizard in here as opposed to just strictly the naked put. All right, so there's small caps, there's IWM, there's most of the futures trades on things. I like RTY. I don't really like silver so much in here, and gold, not my favorites. We'll let things play out a bit there. But ES, I think looks really, really good. So ES and RTY look like some of your better plays from that standpoint. And I still think even the Aussie dollar looks good here. Let's see if it can hold again in the support level. I think the 112 we have on, good play. All right, let's take a look at a couple stocks really quick. And I think, I still think Tesla, good opportunity. We got a bit of a pullback coming here in Tesla today, just a one-day down day. It is getting a bit overdone up in here, but any pullback in Tesla, I think, is a buying opportunity or a selling puts opportunity. So I do like Tesla. I'd like to see somewhat of a pullback. We are on the weekly chart. Okay, you're above the Bollinger Band and the 3 ATR. I'd like to see us get back inside of that. If we can get back in here around the 340 area, 330, something in these lines. I think even 310, then I think you could sell some naked puts. I think give yourself a little bit of room. Question to me in the chat was any liquidity concerns with trades like RTY? Not really. RTY, it's a little bit of a pain to get in and out, but I've been playing it pretty well with credit spreads, and I have not had any recent issues getting in and out with credit spreads. And that's even tougher, I think, than a naked put. So I haven't minded it. I'm not a big fan of like 112 in there. Anything that has a lot of different legs to it can be a little bit tougher. I'm not really afraid of liquidity on it, but I like the IWM play a little bit better than the RTY futures play because I'm happier owning it moving forward as opposed to trading it right now at these levels. Anyway, that's just a little bit of thoughts on my end for things. All right, let's take a look. Palantir still off to the races. It moved up back inside. It's above and right at the Bollinger Bands here. I don't know how much more this thing has in it. It started to look last week like it was going to start to roll over a bit, and then a 2-day spike on it. This thing is very, very overdone. I think we pull back. The valuation on this thing is probably in the 30 range. So I think it's 2x its value. I'm not really touching it. I would be happy to touch it if we get a pullback and I can get in and start selling puts around 30. I think that's where its value is. I do think it can go higher over the next year or so, but I'd like to see a little bit of a pullback on Palantir. All right, Amazon. So this is one of the plays that I really like a lot. I think you've pulled back nicely to the middle of the range. The Bollinger Bands are tightening up on this thing. Uh, you're inside the Bollinger Band, and RSI just hitting 60 this week, but it's only at 50. So I think Amazon is not a bad play in here. I think if um, you wanted to trade Amazon, I don't think it's a bad play here. I'm going to look at a Jade Lizard here in Amazon. We're going to take a look at that trade as well. I'm just trying to set some of these up for you. CMG, Chipotle, one of my favorites. We've got this in the small account as a poor man's covered call. This thing is doing outstanding. Great company. This is a great spot on CMG to sell puts. Now we do have a put we have a strangle in here. The strangle in this thing is the 72.49. So we're still right kind of in the middle of this thing. Now, even after the move up, and we're getting a little overextended, so I still like the strangle. Our strangle's up 13% in 14 days on CMG. So I like where we are on that strangle, but I also think a poor man's covered call on any dip in Chipotle is a good opportunity. We've already talked about IWM. I think if you're looking for trading opportunities, I think Merck down in here is an idea. There's a lot of consternation right now around healthcare with Robert Kennedy Jr. What's he going to do? I don't think they're going to wage war on all of these companies. So I think that's starting to chill out a bit. He's not even a for sure confirmation either. But I do like some of these companies that have been beaten down, especially Merck. I think Merck has already had a move as it bounced off and started to move higher. But I think you can still, this move is not over. I think there's more to go on this move. I think it could just be getting started. So I do like Merck, poor man's covered call, put credit spreads, you name it on Merck. Not a bad play in here. And then Becton Dickinson, BDX. Okay. Also, uh, look at the range that this thing has been in. Again, if you don't like me talking stocks, let me know, and it's okay. If not, I'll talk some stock. This thing's been in this sideways range from 230 to 250 now, all the way. Really, I don't even know why I stopped it there. We can go all the way back here. Okay, all the way back into November of last year. For the most part, it's been in this same range. We finally broke the bottom of this range. This is a high quality company. I think it's giving you an entry point here. If you want something for your investing portfolio, I would take a look at Becton Dickinson in here. I think this is a quality company giving you a really good potential entry point. We'll take a look at that overall. In fact, I'm going to enter it. I really don't follow this one per se in my watch list. I'm going to add it to the watch list, and I'll cover why in a minute or so. All right, so I think Becton Dickinson, something that's interesting to take a look at here. Also, Moderna in here, I think is a really good potential opportunity. They're not going to get rid of vaccines. There's a lot to this company. It's one of the best companies out there. The weekly chart looks really, really good for something that is oversold and potentially starting to make a move higher or flatten out. I think all of these companies are giving you some opportunity. In fact, I'm going to add this to the larger watch list. And I just want to make sure I have them all on here. Okay. Go back to my watch list. So sorry about that. I think I'm in good shape. I just want to make sure I'm covering these. Again, if you guys don't like it, just pop in chat, stop doing stocks or something, and we will. Um, Nvidia, I think this is an interesting one today. You've got this thing completely rolling over on the weekly. You've got things potentially stalling out here on the weekly. But you can still come down to the 21 or the trend line or the 50 and be in great shape. I think we are at fair value on Nvidia around 140-ish. We broke through this 21 EMA today. You got the 13 trying to come down as well after earnings. Uh, Good earnings, huge expectations. It's had a big run. I think this consolidation here is really pretty. I'm going to go back to something around here. Okay. This consolidation for the last 6 weeks also setting up nicely. Can we hold the 50-day moving average today? I think if we do, it's a good entry. If we come down a little bit lower, we're almost to the Bollinger Band. This is getting to an area where I want to add more shares of Nvidia. Now, I do have two naked puts running in the investing account. We own the 110 and we own the 95. So, I mean, we're way down here, where this green arrow is. And we own we sold the 110s, we sold the 95s. Uh, the 95s were up 89% on those right now. So I'll probably close those out here anytime. And then the other ones are down a couple $100 right now on this recent move. But I like Nvidia here. It's giving you an entry that you could have gotten into all the way back here in October sometime. So I think uh, just keep an eye on it. But if you want it in, it's starting to give you an opportunity on this pullback. Just had a run up. I think this is some profit taking. I don't think I would be too panicked or worried about it. I'm going to give you two other stocks. Airbnb, I really like the way this thing's shaping up. Taking a look at the weekly chart here, you broke the downtrend. Okay, so you had this nice downtrend. Extend it up here a little bit more. Okay, so you broke the downtrend. Okay. And then you came down, tested it, and bounced up. You also came down, tested the 50-day and moved up. You get the 13 crossing back up through the 21. You broke up through the 21. This thing, I think, is just getting going. I think Airbnb is a nice trade in here. So I'd take a look at Airbnb. I think RSI is in good shape. So I like Airbnb for a trade. Might be something for the active trader service as opposed to something longer term. And quality-wise, but I think it's interesting here. HIMS just taking off. I was going to point it out on this bounce and move last week. It's just had a huge move today. This thing is going bananas. Uh, there's all kinds of jokes that you could probably make right now about the chart on HIMS, but didn't mean to do that. But I think this thing looks solid. I mean, this company is doing extremely well. And like the breakout of this downtrend, broke out, came down, touched it, hit the 50, broke out, came down, hit it again, hit the support again, and triggered a huge move to the upside. So HIM's probably a little bit gone right now on this one, hitting these new highs. I don't know if I want to chase it, but I think there's more room in this thing to the upside. It's only sitting around $30 a share. It wouldn't be the worst thing, in my opinion, to take a look at it. All right, sorry if we're getting a little long on these, but that's it. And then I'm going to hit two other quick things for you. And I'm pulling up just something on a different stock. And then HIMS, The average analyst is saying 24 bucks in here, and if we look at earnings, uh, we look at the earnings on this thing. Earnings are just starting to jump. Earnings have been growing 150, then 200, then 300, now 900% year over year. I don't expect that to necessarily continue, but earnings are growing, revenue's growing on this thing pretty nicely year over year. Uh, this thing is really starting to get going, and it would not surprise me to see. I mean, it's already up 100% now, so I don't know that you want to chase it yet, but any pullback here, I think getting in this thing around 20 to 25 is not a bad sign for a quality company. All right, SMCI, I traded it. I told you guys it was a speculative trade. Okay. I did this in two ways. In the active trader service, I actually bought shares. I bought 200 shares in the active trader service. Those are up nicely today. So my shares are up, you know, 11% now in like a day since I bought them last Friday. And then we also sold the 21 puts, which were way down here in the lazy trader. That is up 35% in 3 days. I'm sorry. So last Friday, bought shares and did this as a speculative trade. I think this thing uh, is worth in the 70s. I'm going to say 75 to $80 a share is the value of this company, assuming they get and have all of their accounting issues behind them. The actual company itself, I think, is worth 75 bucks to $80 a share. I think we're half of the value of this company on this sell-off. In fact, they could have gotten delisted, losing accounting, very sketchy stuff. It's taken a beating. So this is a very speculative play uh, on SMCI. And then lastly, small caps are moving nicely. And one of the reasons small caps are moving nicely is financials. In fact, let's take a quick look at the XLF. So if we're looking at the financials, look at where financials are. Financials are going crazy right now. Okay. And because financials are going crazy, small caps are going to benefit largely from this. So I like JP Morgan. Now, is it a little lofty in here? Potentially. It's breaking out to new highs today, but look at this beautifully set up uh, ascending triangle that you have here. We've had resistance, 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 and then finally just breaking resistance today. Bigger break, has pulled back, but does it have a lot more left in it? I don't know, but I think the value of JP Morgan uh, is probably somewhere around, this mark now. I think around the 240, 250 level. So I think we're fairly valued in here. I wouldn't mind owning this thing somewhere around this 225 level. So I think, again, if we get any kind of a pullback, I'll be watching to see if we get any kind of a pullback here. But financials are driving things. All right. And then lastly, the weekly stocks on my scans. There's two ways of looking at scans. I look at the weekly. So looking at weekly where stochastic momentum is is oversold, okay, and starting to move its way higher, which means the weekly is starting to get going. Adobe has been on this for I don't know how many, days and weeks. So 3 weeks, I think, on Adobe, 2 weeks at least on Adobe. It keeps coming up every single day as a buy opportunity. You've got Amgen. Again, you can go all of these different uh, pharmaceuticals. I'm going to skip ASML today, but I'm going to, Boeing again, I think is a good opportunity here. I think this is a great in on Boeing, and I think you can sell below this 137 level and get into Boeing on a nice trade. I think J&J has a good trade opportunity. I think Coke is a great opportunity. Now, Coke is taking a hit, and the reason Coke is taking a hit is you're wondering if the new you know, head of healthcare in the U.S., if it's Robert Kennedy, if you think that he's going to go after Coke and sugary drinks, I don't think that's really going to be the case. And Coke is more than just sugar drinks. They do have obviously non-sugar or sugar-free stuff, but they also have health drinks and stuff as well. So I think Coke is set up here. I think it's been abused and has a good opportunity to move to the upside. All right, I was taking a look at Merck. I've already pointed Merck out. Oxy is another one. It's dropping with oil today. I think energy is not my favorite play. I think the whole drill baby drill from Trump and the glut of oil coming on the market is not really a great sign for some of these energy plays. This thing's down. It may stay down for a while on it. And then if we're looking at sector-wise, this consumer staples really just taking off here, and then healthcare stocks really taking off. This healthcare, the XLV, this looks like every pharmaceutical and healthcare name out there. They all have this same look to where they're bouncing right now, oversold. Uh, I think healthcare could be something that's interesting, even with Kennedy being there next year. All right, so let's get out of that and let's get back into uh, the account and look at a couple quick trade setups. So I gave you a bunch of ideas, and let's spend like the next 5 minutes just taking a look at how we would potentially trade these. So here we are in the Lazy Trader account. You can see it is having a really nice day today. Huge move up. MicroStrategy is down 25 points, and we're up almost $5,000. So I will take that every day of the week. So we're looking at the 165s, the 180s, and the 200s. I'm naked puts on all of those, well below where we are here. I'm not adding any more, and I'd like to get out of some if we get close to some winners, but that's fine. You get SMCI rolling its way higher for us. TLT, obviously, you've got all of these leap puts, all of them, none of them in the money right now, so we're above all of those plays. So that's great to see on TLT. I think we could potentially add some more here. So I might add another leap put. I may extend, you can see 116 was the last one I did about 17 days ago. I think it's time to put on another tranche of TLT puts. I'll likely do that. And then TMF here is we sold, or I'm sorry, we bought the stock, and we got assigned the stock in the 50s. We're at 47 and almost 50 now. We were assigned in the mid to upper 50s. We were just writing covered calls against it. That's been a very profitable thing. And then TNA is the small caps. We're up 57%. VOO is the S&P, which we're in. IWM, we've sold puts on. We're in puts on Google, which are down right now, but I'm okay at 140 on this. And then SPY, the leap puts. Now today is Monday, so it's time to add some more SPY leaps in. Now I'm watching how these put credit spreads. I tested two of them, one at 321 days, okay, and one at 168 days, a little shorter. I'm testing to see how that compares to the most recent trade that we did. That trade's up 15%. The leaps, the put credit spreads, up only about 3%, and then the shorter term one's up about 4%. So right now the leaps are doing a little bit better than the put credit spreads. Obviously, put credit spreads, because you have the long put, they should slow decay, but the back test kind of shows otherwise. So we'll see what happens, but it's time to trade SPY for the week. So we go out to as close to 365 days as we can, which now puts us into the December 19th move. We'll go to about the 12 delta. We like something right around that $7, $8. We'll start with 475 here. You know what? We'll stick with the 475. Oops. And we're going to allocate. Normally, I'm going to allocate here 3% of the account value. So 3% of the account value here is about $10,000. So we could technically go 6 contracts now because the account value has increased. So I go 6 contracts, 3%, because I'll go up to 10 tranches of these. I'm going to sell this thing. And We'll see if we get assigned. If we do, great. If not, or assigned, see if we get filled. If we don't, we'll put something else on. All right. So I wanted to talk about really quick because we're gonna roll here a couple trades that I thought were interesting. Here was I think Tesla. Nope, we got filled on the SPY, so that's cool. All right, Tesla in here. One way of trading it would be potentially a Jade Lizard. And let's look at going out somewhere around, I don't know, 25 days might be a tad short or tad, let's go around this 25 days. What is a Jade Lizard? So a Jade Lizard would be, I would be looking potentially to get assigned. Where would I want to be assigned on Tesla? Um, what's the intrinsic value of Tesla? Where do I want to be? I right now it's trading about 348. I think the value of Tesla is probably somewhere in the upper 200s, 260-ish level. So I don't think I'll be able to get down there necessarily, but uh, we can just put this on for a trade. And I'm going to look at the 300. And I'm going to go, let's go 5 wide there. So we're selling a put credit spread, and we're also going to sell a call spread on this thing. Let me go the other way. Let me just sell the put, and then let's do two calls somewhere, because I think Tesla is at 358. Here's a little bit over its skis. So 367, 390. Let's look at this. All right, so taking a look at this particular trade, it looks very similar to the 112 trade. Uh, so it looks very similar to the 112 trade. However, what it's giving you is if it stays within this range, it's going to pay off pretty nicely here, and there's no risk to the upside. So if Tesla shoots to the upside, I have no risk, the way we've set this one up. So this is something to take a look at. If it drops to 300, question is, would you be willing to roll it? Would you be willing to own it? I don't know. I think Tesla's a little overdone, so I'm going to pass on this example, but I'm giving it to you in here. Amazon, take a look at this one. Let's look at the same type of thing down here about, let's look at the 185s, and then let's sell something around 210, 215. That might not be enough, but let's take a look. Probably not. Might have to tighten this one up. Maybe 5, maybe 187. All right. So just trying to get a sense on this one. There's really not much risk. Oh, geez, can't keep it in the view here. Not much risk to the upside on this. There's $87. I'd like to get rid of that if I can. Yeah, probably do it down. Yeah, not really setting up well here. So I'm going to pass on the Amazon one for now. I don't really like the way this thing's setting up uh, at all on a Jade Lizard. Let's see if we can pull another one on IWM. Let's take a quick look. Look at the table. I do like small caps. I think owning them would be not the worst thing in the world. Let's look at something down around. Now, this thing's up pretty nicely today. I don't think the 220. All right. Close. All right, just to give you a sense on this one, hard to see, but inside the range, not really showing up well on here. Yeah, that's the best I can do. Okay, so this is a way to potentially get in on IWM and get a decent return. So this is 25 days in the trade. 225 on the downside. And again, I like IWM. 225 puts me below the support and right at the 50-day moving average on the daily. So this would be a spot where I would like to get assigned potentially an IWM. I sold the 195s previously, but I like the 225. Okay, I think this is an area I wouldn't mind being in. If we skyrocket, I have no risk to the upside. If we stay in this range above here and we stay somewhere between there and the 258, which would be roughly the 3 ATR level on the weekly, I think this sets up as a decent trade. So we could take in uh, on this trade. If we stay in here, it's $118 using $1,728. So this is a roughly a 7% return trade if we stay between 228 and 257, and I have no risk to the upside whatsoever. I don't think I could go any further. Yeah, I guess I could. Okay, now, even this one's not bad. Okay, still sticking to 225, but now I've given myself a little bit more room to the upside if we take off. It's a pretty good size there, but we're making $115 on 1730. Okay. And that is a 6.7% return, almost 7% return in 25 days. I think that sets up pretty well. I'm actually going to send this thing out and I'm okay taking assignment. Let's not do too much. Let's not go too crazy. I just want to see how this thing will work. I don't mind owning it at 225. I'd wheel it. I could roll this out. There's a lot of things we can do, but we won't do too many contracts. Let's just put this one into play. We'll see if we can get filled on this Jade Lizard there. So right now, I think the Jade Lizard is a good opportunity. If you think we're stalling out a bit, or if we're going to move a little bit higher, that trade's going to be in really good shape, and there are no risks to the upside on this trade. You could look at it on Nvidia and others. We could potentially look at it on some of the futures trades as well. Things that are getting away from us a tad. So on Nvidia, nice down move today. Where would you want to own it? Would we want to own the 120s? Okay, would you sell the 148, 149? I don't know how this will work, but let's just play this one out. Okay, here's another one. Okay, so again, same shape as a 112, very different trade. Are you willing to buy or take assignment, or would you roll Nvidia down here at 120? Now this thing's paying $116 on 677 in margin in a PM account. Okay, this is a 17% return if we stay above 120. Okay, and somewhere below 148. And on Nvidia, the most recent high before it rolled over, okay, it went up to about 152. Okay, so potentially maybe we go a little bit higher. Okay, we might be able to even get to the 152. I can't do it. Okay. All right, let's go to the table here and do the 149, 150. Yeah, this thing works. Okay. This is an interesting one on Nvidia. Would you take assignment on Nvidia at 120? I've already got trades here at 110 and 95. This one's about to close. Okay. So I'm going to get rid of one. 120, not a bad spot for Nvidia. It'd be a pretty nice pullback to that area. I don't know if I want to go any lower. I technically could go to like 119, still make pretty good return. But let's stick with the 120 um, on Nvidia, and we could look at a Jade Lizard here. I won't do too much. Let's just do two contracts on this one, and we'll put it into play just to give you some sense. There we go. Of the type of trade that we're in. If Nvidia just kind of hangs out, if it moves higher, we have no risk. Okay, if it moves lower, we can either roll, we can take assignment, we can do whatever. Nice down day today, pretty good 4% move to the downside. We just talked about Nvidia hitting the 50-day moving average today. If it breaks that, we'll see what happens. But we have the Bollinger Bands at 133, so we're way below the Bollinger Band. We're way below the 3 ATR. We're way below the 21 EMA on the weekly. There's also some support, I think, around the and the pivot point. There's support at the 131 level. Okay, so there's some ideas, some trades potentially for you guys today. I'm also still looking at doing something in RTY. It's just hard to do any of these in here. Is RTY, it's kind of my favorite of the indexes right now. It's bullish, so I would just want to see it chill out a bit. Oil might also not be a bad trade opportunity for like a 112. So, all right, I hope this gave you guys a lot of different ideas today, a bunch of different trades. We got some futures trades in, we got some stock trades in. We're having a fantastic day. Nice, 10,000, 12, I think 12, $13,000 up day. Just in this like investing account and in the trading account, we're up about 10 grand. So, nice day today. Bonds are up, markets up. And things are moving exactly where we need them to move for now. We'll see how things go. I hope this was valuable to you guys. We will see you in the Discord. Thanks, everybody, for jumping in. Hope this is helpful. Bye-bye.